Both the RTX 4060 and 4060 Ti are now here. They've been released, stock is available, but is the extra $100 really worth it for the Ti model, especially given the amount of flack that both cards received at launched? Well, that's what we're going to look at today, with a good old-fashioned head-to-head in a bunch of games. But before we get into that, here's a quick word from this video's sponsor.
I'm never going to be an esports gamer. I never get any kills.
I wouldn't be so sure of that.
Is that Andy Raffel from eTeknix.com?
Yes, my son, it is me, Andy Raffel from eTeknix.com.
What are you doing here?
I'm here to bestow upon you a gift that will transform you into a true gamer. With a 24.5-inch Full HD screen, 240Hz refresh rate, 0.5 millisecond response time, AMD FreeSync Premium, and height adjustability, you'll be gaming in the big leagues in no time.
Thank you.
No problem, my son. Why don't you check out the link in the description below to find out more.
Now, while the 4060 Ti has seen the release of the 16GB model, which commands another $100 on top, in a funny turn of events, not one brand nor Nvidia wanted to send out a sample for us to look at, and other media outlets are also in the same boat, with, at the time of filming, the only place I've seen any form of content on over at Hardware Unboxed. So if you want to see out kind of how frankly bad that is, I'd definitely go and check it out. Now, for the purposes of this content, we're putting our focus on the 4060 and 4060 Ti 8GB. To look at, they're very similar, but also very different. Now, while the RTX 4060 uses the AD107 GPU die, the 4060 Ti uses the slightly beefier AD106 core, which does come in with a 18% bigger die size and packs another 4 billion transistors. So unlike the RTX 4070 and 4070 Ti, they are different products and not a cut down version that Nvidia are trying to sell off as something else. The differences don't just stop there, as the 4060 does come in with a different clock speed, with a 3% uplift in favour of the Ti model when it comes to the boost clock, though the base clock does see a 26% difference. But as we've seen over the RTX 4000 series, boost clock is more important, though even then, when we've looked at different AIB versions of the same card, there really isn't much to write home about, as extra boost speed doesn't seem to garner much extra performance, if any at all. Now, in terms of the specs, the 4060 does pack 29% less shading units, texture mapping units, streaming multiprocessors, tensor cores and ray tracing cores, but does include the same 48 ROPs across both models, and the same amount of L1 cache. Now, the other big difference is the 25% less L2 cache on the RTX 4060 at 24MB compared to the 32MB on the 4060 Ti, which, along with the ADA memory subsystem functionality, the 4060 Ti having an increased L2 cache should see it less likely to use the VRAM or system memory when obtaining the data that it needs. This is really one of the main reasons why Nvidia has seriously cut down on the memory side of things with both the 4060 and 4060 Ti. In terms of the memory, they both come with 8GB of GDDR6, though the Ti does sport 5% more memory bandwidth and a slightly increased memory clock at 18 gigabits per second compared to the 4060's 17 gigabits per second, all while operating on the same 128-bit memory bus. So lots of numbers thrown around, and with a 25% cheaper card in the form of the RTX 4060, it's definitely an interesting comparison. Though it is worth noting that an older GPU like the RX 6700 XT from AMD is going to show better value for money. But of course, you're not going to get the latest technologies from the Ada Lovelace architecture, such as DLSS 3 with frame generation. And being the newest release products on the market, there is always going to be an earlier adopter tax. And of course, prices may go down in the near future to better reflect a better proposition for both of these cards. Now, with that aside, this feature is all about the two 4060 series cards, so let's talk about testing. Now, to test both GPUs, we used our GPU test system consisting of an Intel Core i9 12900K nestled within an Asus Maximus Z690 Hero motherboard with 32GB of Patriot Viper 6200MHz dual channel memory. All testing was done on Windows 11 with the 536.20 driver, and we tested 15 games in total, and we'll be putting our focus on 1080p and 1440p, as well as looking at the averages of both resolutions too. So, with that out of the way, let's get into those glorious benchmarks. Starting things off with a Plague Tale Requiem, and straight away we can see that the 4060 Ti comes in 28% faster at 1080p and 29% faster at 1440p. So off to a good start, but considering the 33% markup on the 4060 Ti, it does fall just below the mark, but we're only one game down at this point. In Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the RTX 4060 Ti comes in with a 15% lead at 1080p, while that lead increases at 1440p to 18%, likely due to the extra L2 cache. And while you could argue that the extra memory bandwidth allows the card to stretch its legs a bit more at the higher resolution, it's definitely more likely the cache that's helping a lot more. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 shows a pretty solid 29% uplift on the 4060 Ti over its little brother at 1080p, and a slightly larger 32% lead at 1440p. Which is great news considering the 4060 Ti 8GB commands an extra 33% more cost, so at least things are aligning quite nicely. In Control, it's a very similar story with the 4060 Ti leading by 29% at 1080p and a pretty impressive 36% increase over the 4060 at 1440p. Again, showing that the Ti is the better value for money GPU based on these numbers, especially if wanting the game at 1440p. Once we turn ray tracing on, the 1080p numbers drop as expected, but the 4060 Ti still holds a somewhat healthy lead of 28%, while 1440p drops quite significantly to a margin of just 22% in favour of the Ti. Next up is Cyberpunk, and at 1080p the Ti only comes in 20% faster. I say only because it's quite a bit lower than some of the other titles we've seen, but it's still pretty good overall, though compared to the extra price the Ti model demands, it's not great. Luckily, 1440p does claw it back somewhat, with the 4060 Ti coming in 34% faster than the standard 4060. But that's more down to the extra L2 cache and slight bump in memory bandwidth that the Ti has, which then puts the 4060 in a not so great looking light. Cyberpunk with ray tracing on makes it almost unplayable on both cards, though the 4060 Ti still commands a 26% lead at 1080p and a stronger 30% lead at 1440p. Though this still puts it below the marker for the extra price premium on the Ti. Moving on to Death Stranding, while the numbers look impressive at well in excess of 100 frames per second, the margin between the cards are back on the low side, with the 4060 Ti only coming in 16% ahead of the bog standard 4060 at 1080p and a slightly higher 20% at 1440p, which is pretty much expected at the higher resolution, but still a long way off matching the extra price that the Ti model comes in at. Doom Eternal is an interesting one because it is very memory intensive, but even then the 4060 Ti comes in 29% faster at 1080p and 31% faster at 1440p, which again is still under where I'd want it to be kind of performance wise based on the extra outlay and cost, but not too far off overall. Dying Light 2 shows some of the worst performance differences we've seen so far, with just a 10% uplift at 1080p and a slightly better but still not fantastic 15% increase at 1440p. While it's nice to see a difference, it doesn't represent better value for money when it means putting another $100 down to get the Ti, considering the performance gains in this game are so lackluster. F1 is a slightly better story, with the 4060 Ti coming in 16% faster at 1080p and a slightly higher 21% at 1440p. But again, without sounding like a broken record, these kinds of numbers just don't offer up anything in terms of value for money when torn between the two different 4060 series cards. As we move on to Far Cry 6, we see the 4060 Ti coming in 20% faster at 1080p and a slightly better 22% faster at 1440p. Again, these are pretty typical numbers that we were expecting, and further cements the fact that the 4060 Ti doesn't offer any better value for money over the non-Ti based on the $100 extra price tag. Now again, without sounding like a broken record, it's a very similar story in Hogwarts Legacy, with a 22% uplift in favour of the Ti at 1080p, though 1440p falls a bit more in line at 29%, which makes for a better argument considering the 33% extra cost, but still falls short slightly, and at under 60 FPS, it still may not be enough for most gamers. Moving on to Horizon Zero Dawn, and at 1080p we see a very familiar story of just a 19% increase over the non-Ti and a slightly better 21% at 1440p. But again, it just isn't enough to really allow me to recommend one card over the other when factoring in the $400 price tag of the 4060 Ti. Things fall extremely short with a 12% margin in Spider-Man Remastered at 1080p, while 1440p gives us the best increase we've seen so far at just under 40%. Again, that extra L2 cache and slight bump in memory bandwidth makes up for a huge difference, but in just one game, we'll have to look at the overall average FPS across both cards to really get a better picture of how well-rounded one is over the other. As we switch ray tracing on, the gap increases somewhat to 16% at 1080p, while 1440p saw a huge drop from 40% in pure rasterization to now just the same 16% margin. Overall again, it's not great considering the price difference between the cards if you're wanting to play with ray tracing turned on. Microsoft Flight Sim is one of the most demanding games of the last few years, and without an X3D CPU and a ton of memory, any GPU will come up against obstacles, and it's no different here at both resolutions. At 1080p, the 4060 Ti saw a 24% uplift, while at 1440p, we saw the biggest variance so far, with the 4060 Ti coming in 43% faster, which is pretty astronomical, but when you look at the overall numbers, the 4060 Ti was the only card that actually managed above 60 FPS at 1080p. Finally, rounding things off with Watch Dogs Legion, and it's a pretty typical 22% margin in favour of the Ti at 1080p, while 1440p saw the gain increase to 28%, again showing that the 4060 Ti is capable of running 1440p, even though it's more aimed at 1080p. But again, still falls just behind that 33% price markup margin that we as consumers should be expecting. Then with ray tracing turned on, the margins move around a little, now with the 4060 Ti sitting 28% ahead of the non-Ti at 1080p, while 1440p decreased to a gap of 24%. Again, the only scenario that barely scraped the magical 60 FPS threshold was on the 4060 Ti at 1080p. So as always, lots of games, lots of testing, and as you saw, we threw in some pure rasterization tests, but also some ray tracing tests to show how they do there. Now you will notice that we didn't put any form of upscaling into our results such as DLSS 3 because our followers have been, well, quite vocal at times about fake frames and whatnot. Now obviously it's clear that if you do enable upscaling technology, you will see better results overall. And with the 4060 Ti having 41% more tensor cores, you'd like to assume that the gains we would see would be much larger on the Ti model compared to the non-Ti. Now what is worth looking at is how things compare across all of the games tested to get kind of better picture of how things compare overall. Because while the margins were pretty good in some cases, the ones that maybe didn't see such good increases could actually bring down those numbers quite dramatically. And no one buys a GPU these days to pretty much play one game and one game only. So that's always a worthwhile thing to look at. So starting with pure rasterization, and it's here where we see the 4060 Ti coming in 19% ahead of the 4060 non-Ti at 1080p, and a much better 28% lead at 1440p. That's kind of a given due to the points I made earlier in terms of L2 cache and the somewhat larger memory bandwidth, but with the 4060 predominantly being marketed towards 1080p, it wasn't expected to shatter any records at that resolution. Either way, considering the price disparity between the two cards, it's clear to see that the 4060 Ti is way off the mark at 1080p and still ever so slightly off at 1440p when factoring the value for money argument. Now when we throw the ray tracing results into the mix, the results go exactly where we expected them to, with the stronger ray tracing performance of the 4060 Ti now warranting a 21% lead over the non-Ti at 1080p, and a slightly higher, though not by much, 29% lead at 1440p. The extra RT cores and L2 cache has definitely made a difference at the higher resolution, though still falls short of the expectations set out by consumers who are going to have to fork out another 33% more money, meaning that things just don't align as you'd want them to. Now, what these results show is that while some titles showered us with some kind of really strong numbers in terms of how much faster the Ti was, like in Microsoft Flight Sim with a margin of over 40%, the majority of the games we tested gave under 30% difference, with some falling as low as 10% like Dying Light 2 and Spider-Man at just a 12% margin. Painting the picture in these graphically demanding games that you're being expected to pay a lot more for and what you actually get performance-wise, and that's kind of what this is all about. The performance uplift versus the extra cost that you'd need to outlay. Now right now, as the cards are still so new, there hasn't really been any movement on the price, and they are both still retailing for their respective MSRP prices of $299 for the RTX 4060 and $399 for the 4060 Ti. Now while we did mention in our launch day coverage that the generational uplift from the 3000 series doesn't warrant upgrading to a 4060 caliber of card, it would be a much better argument to have if the prices on both of the cards were slashed somewhat, closer to say $249 and the $320 mark. And the only way that's going to happen is if consumers vote with their wallets by, well, not picking up either of them at the moment. If stock doesn't fly off the shelves, then prices will need to be cut. Now the issue along with that is that while I would have liked to have seen the RTX 4060 at say $200, that would still leave too much of a gap between the 4060 and the 4060 Ti, that again the Ti would feel kind of as redundant as it did here today. I guess while that doesn't help you out right now, it's the only clear decision that I think most consumers would agree with at this point in time. But if you are heart set on picking up a 4060 or 4060 Ti, I think it's pretty plain to see that the 4060 does offer better value for money. While on paper the specs look to be a nice increase when moving up to the Ti, that doesn't equate to the performance, and it's almost like it's being held back, likely due to the memory bandwidth and overall memory capacity, especially considering some games really do require more than 8GB of VRAM in 2023, which I think is where cards like the 6700 XT are still a better offering, considering you can pick one up right now for as low as $329.99, and it comes with 12GB of VRAM on a 192-bit memory interface, and coming in with 41% more bandwidth than the 4060 and 33% more than the Ti. Even the 6700 non-XT is available to buy for $279.99 and still comes with 10GB of VRAM on a 160-bit bus, and again with more bandwidth overall. Now yes, to play devil's advocate, you will be missing out on ray tracing and DLSS, along with efficiency, power and all that other stuff that the 4000 series brings, but I guess that comes down to a personal choice for you as a gamer, about kind of what's more important to you. And maybe we'll look at the likes of the 6700 XT versus the 4060 Ti 8GB, considering the Radeon GPU comes in $70 cheaper. So it'll be kind of an interesting one to compare. Also, the fact that the 4060 Ti 16GB is now here, but an extra $100, it just goes from bad to worse. Especially considering the testing shows that while in some games the extra memory makes a small difference, it's still limited by other memory-based factors, like the bandwidth and the bus. And really, I guess the argument for that particular SKU is even worse than the 8GB model, considering the performance uplift frankly dwindles down. It's a shame, as the 1060, 2060 and even the 3060 series of cards did so well in the eyes of the consumer, but the 4060 and the 4060 Ti have just, I don't know, kind of missed the mark somewhat, and short of slashing the price like I mentioned, I can't see much of a way out, if any, from Nvidia on this one. A sorry state of affairs, but hey, let's see what AMD brings to the table in the $300 price segment, though based on how the RX 7600 did, that wasn't that well received either, so I'm not exactly holding my breath. Though saying that, when we look at the cost per frame, the RX 7600 actually comes in better than both the 4060 and the 4060 Ti. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the likes of the RX 6700 is the better buy at 1080p, especially considering the extra VRAM. And while the 4060 isn't terrible in the grand scheme of things, the 4060 Ti frankly is. This is also shown with the 6700 XT, which while the cost per frame is 2% worse on the Radeon based card, that extra VRAM is definitely going to help if you're wanting to dabble at 1440p. And that about wraps this one up. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, then a like and a sub to the channel would be amazing. And if you want to join the exclusive Patreon club, you can do so by visiting the link below, where you'll get access to a whole host of goodies, including behind the scenes content, monthly live streams, access to a special secret area on our Discord, and much, much more. Again, that link is down below. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one. See you later, guys.